Hello again. In a previous video we introduced you to this, which is a USB focuser controller. Now the previous one that we showed you was basically a prototype, and we've just perfected it a little bit, just changed a couple of things. But also I've made some discoveries recently that are quite novel, and I'm going to show them off shortly. Now what it's made for this is, if you've got a Skywatcher autofocuser which would have a controller, sort of normally something like this, what you do is you simply unplug the Skywatcher controller and plug your existing lead into this box instead. You've then got a USB B port there, so you just use a USB A to B lead to plug this to your laptop, and it uses what they call an ASCOM driver, which is it's like a universal astronomy driving method really. It's a bit like the DirectX for astronomy. Now this is separately powered, and it's powered by a PP3 battery. The reason why I went for a battery in this is because otherwise you'd be using the power from your laptop through your USB, and to be honest, if you're out in the field, then laptop power's at a premium, so you don't want to be using it to just drive your focuser. And the thing is, as far as battery life's concerned, the battery in these lasts for months. I mean, especially in the UK where you don't even use your telescope for months at a time. But you'll get 10 full sessions out of a battery easily with this, and I just use a rechargeable battery. And if you get 2 rechargeable batteries and sort of keep one charged up, it's never a problem. And like I say, it lasts a long time anyway. So what we're going to do next is I'm just going to connect this up and show you something using EQ ASCOM and the EQ Mod project software, which is quite interesting, and we'll go over to that now. Okay, we'll just introduce you to a little plugin for EQ Mod. It's called ASCOM Pad, and it basically just allows you to add other pieces of hardware onto EQ Mod. Now, as you can see, it's got Focuser 1 selected there, and you can go up to devices and pick sort of your gamepad and set that up, and go to different focusers, and it'll even control your mount to some extent. Now, what we're going to use it for is to control our focuser. Now, as you move down, you've got 2 modes of control. One is continuous and the other one is a one-shot mode. But for this demonstration, we're just going to use the continuous version, like so. Now, we also have a slider. That slider is basically, it's a speed controller. It sets the size of steps and sets the speed of your focus. So we can set it to sort of number 1 and click set, or we can move up and set it to a higher degree. So we'll just do that, sliding up. And let's have a go at 73 and click set there. Now let's have a look at what those effects have on the actual focuser when we come to control it. Right, as you can see, we've now connected up to the telescope. We've got the USB controller and the Skywatcher autofocus are all connected up, and we've been through the ASCOM pad settings. And now let's just introduce you to this, which is a Logitech wireless rumble pad 2, but various other controls will work as well. If you do a search over the internet, you'll find all the different sorts of compatible controllers. Now, in ASCOM pad, I've assigned 2 buttons to my focuser. So what I can do now is that I can press buttons on this controller wirelessly, and I can control my focuser with it. Now, as you saw, we set up at number 73 with ASCOM pad, so that is a fairly coarse setting. Now we've got it on the continuous setting, which means that if I now hold in a button on my wireless controller, you can see that the focus is actually turning fairly quickly. It also adds on a step of whichever size that you've set up, so if we simply do a stab, it'll move whatever set of degrees you've set up. So 73, there's not any sort of physical transference between sort of the figure and how much it moves. It's just a matter of playing about. But you can see that I can do stabs and it moves in and out by a fair amount at the same time. Now let's have a look what happens if we set to number 1, which is the one that I actually prefer. Right, now that we've moved over to number 1, again with the controller, you can see that if I hold in, it's actually moving a little bit slower now, the focuser. So if you've got sort of a big movement, you're watching your laptop screen, you can simply just hold in whichever button for the in or the out. But the exciting part about this setting number 1 is this. Once we've got almost on focus with our object, if you want to use a piece of software such as Batinov Grabber or similar, where you put a Batinov mask over and it sort of gives you a graphical representation of how close to focus you are, you can actually use this and it gives a very, very fine setting on the focuser. So if you watch as I press the buttons, you'll see the focuser just move that tiny little bit. Now you do have to watch carefully for it because it is very, very slight, that movement from just those little stabs. So you can see that you've got an absolutely infinitely tight control over the focus to a really fine degree. And like I said, that's just something that I've discovered recently because I've been starting playing about with EQ mod, and to be honest, it's absolutely brilliant. I was like running around the garden when I discovered that this all worked through the controller and everything. And that's about it. So once again, thanks for watching.